Another guy who could fall into the second round, I kind of like, is Kobe Brown, 6'8", senior, 23 years old, out of Missouri. That age is it's a little high, but it's also a guy maybe who can be more NBA ready sooner than later. He's good at converting at the rim. You wrote here 62%. Shooting form quick. 44. He hit 44% of all his catch and shoot looks in the past season and shot 45% from three in his last season, which is kind of, it was out of the ordinary as he only shot like 23% in his first 3 years of college. So it's like, okay, is he actually a good shooter or not? So that's kind of a question mark in itself. Decent defense, but that's still kind of a question mark in this game. But it just seems kind of be like a dynamic player, can pass well, can play decent defense, has a 7'1" wingspan, and hopefully hit that three ball well. And that age kind of just makes it seem like he's not much of a project at this point, as he is just NBA ready. Again, a second rounder, you don't know. Second rounders are always like question marks, like will they ever even play in the NBA? But this seems like a guy who, if you can get in the second round, could actually see some minutes sooner than later in the NBA.
Yeah, I love Kobe Brown. And again, I would not be surprised if he doesn't pan out. But I also think that he has got all the tools in the rule in the world to be a really dynamic player. And obviously, the age 23 thing is one thing. It's like, okay, how much more is his ceiling gonna be? But also, it's just like, well, that's gonna secure him for a potential pick 38. And he's rising on a lot of guys' radars, I guess you would say. But I think one of the interesting things is the shooting thing is a mystery. Like, is he going to come into the NBA and shoot 40%? Probably not. But to have that kind of catch and shoot ability that at least kind of space the floor a little bit, that's going to lend him a lot of help. Because he's not really big enough to play the center position, although he's got a great frame on him. He's only 6'8". Although, damn it, you had Chimezi Metu playing backup center for,
Yeah.
But I think Kobe Brown is more of a power forward. And he's he's not a great defender, but he's really a smart player. He sees the floor well on that end. He can anticipate things. He's savvy with like different little moves, like kind of doing little kind of like fakes at guys that are driving towards him. I mean, he just has like a good feel for the game over there, and he's engaged to it. And I think the most interesting thing is his ability to kind of be a connector on offense, to make passes from the pocket or from the short roll, either kicking it out or hitting drivers and cutters coming along the baseline or the other side. And I think that's a really interesting thing. And I'm not trying to go crazy on Kobe Brown, but I just think it's interesting that if he was available at pick 38, there's another guy about 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago, that was a 4-year player at college, coming out as a senior, who was kind of a positionally interesting player at around the same height. Not the same body, I don't think necessarily, but similar, kind of a chunky guy who ended up being a very dynamic player. Now, obviously, Kobe Brown's not the same defender, and I don't think he's necessarily guaranteed to be a multiple time All Star like this guy, but I'm talking about Draymond Green. And again, I'm not saying Kobe Brown's going to come in and be like a defensive player of the year type guy. But in terms of getting value at that position out of an older player, out of one that some people are iffy about, I don't know. I feel like that story writes itself. So Kobe Brown could be a very, very interesting pick.
Yeah. I think interesting is a good word to put it. Definitely has that upside if it all comes together, but could just be a guy who's just be it's hard to call him a bust because I mean, can't really call a second rounder a bust, but some guy who just won't really ever pan out in the NBA.
Yeah, because if he goes back to shooting 20 something percent from three, which is very possible,
Yeah, it's just
that's really going to hinder any ability. Because again, he's not like exceptionally great on defense,
mhm.
but and also there's the whole thing of like, man, you'd be getting really redundant at that position at pick 38. If Vizenkov comes and you keep Lyles,
Yeah.
now you're kind of talking about a situation where it's like, well, when Kobe Bryant's never going to see the floor. He's at an age where you'd probably like to see him kind of develop by playing and not sitting on the sideline. And you probably just wouldn't want that to necessarily happen. But who knows what happens in the off season and with certain guys' decisions. And maybe they see Kobe Bryant as easily the best available talent.